and welcome to the Don't Tell This Podcast, a sports betting podcast that hasn't won in a while. I'm your host, Al Manarino. With me is my co-host and someone banking on the Jets for a win. It's Mr. Ben Murkison. What's up, my guy?
You think I'm banking on the Jets for a win. I will not be leaning heavy into the Jets. They are playing the Patriots, who are one of the best teams in football. I think we'll probably see a few more lines coming from both of us for that team. But yeah, the Jets are going to do their part and lay down.
Just go to sleep.
Just go to sleep and let it happen.
We have our Thursday night pick. We're going to be talking about this week, week 11. I can't believe it's already week 11. We're going to get into our results so far in a second. They are grim. They are still positive, but grim. But we're going to be talking about the New York Jets playing the at New England Patriots for Thursday Night Football today. And before we get into that, we have to go over our tremendous amount of losses. I guess let's start with our results for the season thus far, not including futures, which is another monster to deal with.
Yeah, that's a problem because I keep trying to view the fact that right now, okay, with our parlays, we're 7-55. Again, always sounds bad. And it sounds worse and worse when you don't hit every week and you're adding like 6 or 7. We're still up 17 units, but I did make the distinction to Al like last week when I was just in a deep hole of depression after we lost Monday Night Football. Then if we factor in our future bets, pretty sure we're about even money right now. So we need a hit. We need a hit to make sure that 500, train doesn't come to bite us. And we're both like depositing money in the account just to keep this thing rolling. So yeah, last week was another week of utter failure potential, but not quite there. So 1 p.m. slate, we ended up going with Dalton Schultz over receiving yards, which he did hit, had 53, another good day for Schultz. We went with Bijan Robinson, who typically is a staple for us, over 41.5. He finished with just 4 yards, Al. It's another one of those running back lines that we love, that we feel somewhat comfortable with, usually the CMCs and the Bijans, and you loved yourself some Gibbs. Bijan did not come through this time. We also went with Garrett Wilson. That's my bad. That was my pick. Coming off of injury, turns out he should have stayed on injured reserve. He had 0 yards in that game and was hurt again. I think he's lost probably for a good portion of whatever's left in the season. He should probably sit this one out. The Jets aren't doing anything. And then we both liked Tyler Warren, and we should have gone with him, but we ended up alting into, you threw out like this, you know what I love? The Buffalo Bills this week. I like Dalton Kincaid over 43.5 yards. He was close, but he had 37. And then you had this discussion, which you just edited out of the podcast, which I thought was funny though, but Buffalo Bills to win every quarter, and they did not do that.
By the way, I also couldn't find the bet and never ended up betting it, thankfully. That's
good because they somehow managed to lose every quarter. They tied one, but they lost every other quarter to the freaking Miami Dolphins.
Awful.
Who my Commanders get to play this week, so I'm super excited to watch that debacle. Yeah, so not great. I mean, we both went 2. Well, no, sorry, I went 2-2. My Baker Mayfield over 1.5 passing touchdowns. He did finish with 3, so he's still having a great year. But I tried OZ in the receptions market. He only finished with 1. So Schultz and Mayfield were my hits. Tyler Warren, you were on, so that would have been like your one hit. Demario Douglas fell just a shade short. He had 34 instead of 35.5. Xavier Legette, 0 yards.
Well,
I know did think McMillan came back.
Correct.
So we would have altered that out had we known at the time that he was going to be active. But Legette, not a part of that offense apparently if McMillan's there. Then we talked about Bijan and Kincaid. So, 1 p.m., we weren't really close in any capacity. We only could have cobbled together 3 successful lines if we took the best of it. So, not solid. 4 p.m., we came much closer. There were ideas that were floating out there that could have potentially hit. Overall, finished 2-2. So, Jameson Williams, we both liked because he was going against the Commanders, which was all it needed. Decent, but not good first half. He wasn't really pacey, but then the second half, he seemed to be the entire Detroit Lions offense. So his line was only 43.5, and he finished with 119. So he crushed. Makes me think, is that just a mirage for the Commanders, secondary that a lot of teams, take advantage of, or is he going to be more involved moving forward? So interesting to see if we want to throw Jameson in any future parlays that we've got coming up. Also, we like CMC. We always like CMC. Over 50.5 receiving, had 66. My 2 lines that did not work out, Ironically, JSN, we did try to finally play him at 97.5. He finished just shy of that with 93. Whatever. What are you gonna do? It's kind of weird. We had a couple of guys that we liked. We liked Puka Nakua over 93.5. He normally would be able to get that line too. He only finished with 64. So we were banking on a lot of guys like going for a lot of yards, and it just didn't work out. Your Gibbs line, I will give you credit. You did want to take his receiving line of over 22.5. He finished with 30. So he had like just a handful of catches. I think he had one that kind of made it work there, but he did stay alive. And then Laporta, you also liked. He went over. Basically, anybody for the Lions offense would have gone over, except for Amon-Ra St. Brown, who cost me a parlay. Luckily, we didn't throw him in there. But the ones that really sunk us were Rashid Shaheed. We both wanted to play him. We were going back and forth for about 5 minutes on whether we should take his receptions or his receiving yards. Turns out it didn't matter. He only had one catch, and he had 3 yards, so not even close in any capacity. I don't even know if they had a rushing line available for him, but that's the only way that they really
You had like
used him.
20 rushing yards.
Yeah, he had 20 rushing yards, so that would
Unbelievable.
have been the only way that it could have possibly worked. But since we both finished 2-2, we could have cobbled together JMO, CMC, Gibbs, and Laporta in hindsight, but we didn't do that. So we lost 4 p.m.
Well, I won 4 p.m. You
Okay,
lost
yeah, yeah, yeah.
4 p.m. Because
That's true.
I put in a bet with Jameson Williams, Gibbs, Laporta, and a Gibbs touchdown, and that smacked pretty hard. I even took out a JMO touchdown and put in Laporta, and the JMO touchdown also hit. So I should have done both next time. I think the Lions are back, like what I was talking about, like throughout the beginning of the season of just like where is the explosiveness from these like two guys? I mean, Gibbs has kind of been there this whole time, but like it usually went hand in hand, him and JMO. So now that JMO's had 2 good weeks in a row, and this was after like a discussion with the offensive coordinator slash now the new offensive coordinator, which is just Dan
Dan
Campbell.
Campbell taking
Because
over.
he took over from the new guy. But part of the reason was like the reason I was on JMO last week and this week is because it was like actual like ESPN headline news of like he's disgruntled and he knows he could play better and all this stuff, that he wants more opportunities. And I was like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, JMO's back. So excited
Yeah.
about him, and he's going to be in all of my parlays going forward.
Well, congratulations on that hit. I'm an idiot. I knew to take the Lions. Like I had them. I said on the podcast minus 13.5. I actually ended up taking them at minus 19.5, which they covered. But I wasn't satisfied with just like the plus 350 or whatever that would have netted me. So of course I decided to add a couple lines in there, all of which hit except for Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
would the number one wide receiver against the worst secondary in football get any yards? Doesn't make
I don't,
sense. He was
doesn't
too
make any
busy
sense.
throwing punches.
That's right.
Is
That's
he
right.
potentially suspended? I know Deron
to-
Payne for us got suspended, but then the video came out that he actually threw a punch a couple plays earlier. I don't know if they go back and look at that,
Oh,
but
I doubt it. I doubt
yeah,
it. He was too busy doing the
probably not.
Trump dance.
And then apologizing for it. So,
What a loser. Anyway, Sunday Night Football. You
speaking
went
of
2 and
losers,
yeah, you went 2-2. I went 1-3. Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, and Thursday Night Football have been horrendous for us. Not even like close. It's been really bad.
Monday, we'll
Monday
get
was
to Monday.
close.
It was actually close, yeah.
Yeah, but the game was bad.
The
Like, it was
game
a
was shitty,
bad
yes.
game. Like that's what I'm saying. Like these games have been really bad. So Sunday Night Football, Chargers, Steelers. You went 2 for 2. I went 1 for 3. You had Freiermuth over 2.5 receptions. He had 3. You had Trey Harris over 1. It was all receptions for you, which was
My receptions lines, I hit 2 out of my 3 receptions lines.
yeah, unbelievable. We hit bad luck. Our boy OG got hurt in the game, but I believe played the third quarter, and it was just like a second, so we didn't get his line voided. Herbert did have a big run, but it didn't end up being what we needed. We probably should have looked into his longest carry or longest rush. That would have been smarter. But yeah, so, and then Calvin Austin I was on. I just thought, there would be some offense from the Steelers. No, it was one of the worst Steelers performances, Aaron Rodgers performances all season. Calvin Austin didn't hit. Metcalf didn't hit. It was bad. It was just overall bad. Our all-day parlay for Sunday, That was a disgrace as well because we had both Shaheed and Herbert. The only one who hit for us was Schultz. So going into Monday, we were as a podcast pretty bad with our
I will
picks.
say I was much worse, and it only got worse for me. I was
Correct.
cursing football. I don't think I watched the second half of this game because I was just sick
Yeah.
of losing. I, of course, was not coming off of the giddiness that associates
Mhm.
with like a 4 p.m. parlay hit like you were.
Yeah, this game was weird. This game was weird because it was two very, very strong offenses and defenses colliding, and it turned out to be one of the most boring games of the season. I think it was what, like 10-7, like the final score or something
Yeah,
stupid
it was
like that.
0-0 at halftime,
It was.
which we've been going back and forth on Twitter with like the Jersey Jerry continues to like hit crazy bets, and his only bet for the game was a tie game at halftime. It was tied 0-0. I was like, why? Why can this guy he did lose $10,000 because he accidentally bet 10K instead of 1K on Steelers money line, which was funny content for them,
That's funny.
but yeah, not good. I do love that our back and forth texting conversation because I was no longer watching the game and you were trying to be Mr. Positivity. I was being very negative, but then our line started to hit, as I was being really negative. So I just leaned
Yeah.
into it and kept just doubling down on like the woe is us
Yeah.
mentality. Almost got us there.
Because the podcast, we didn't talk about Monday Night Football. This was exclusively on our social channels, so make sure you follow at Don't Tail This for these great bets that don't hit. But we had Devonta Smith over receiving. He hit. These were all like a lot of late hits too. Christian Watson over 41.5 receiving. He hit. Dallas Goedert hit over 34.5 receiving. And the mistake that I made was Ben had said, like, let's put this bet in, or, let's do this. And I said, okay, actually, I'm going to switch it to Luke Musgrave because we had talked about him a bunch over text. And I originally had Barkley over receptions. He needed 2.5. He got 3. And like one of them, he barely like caught, like Hurts threw it in the dirt and Barkley ended up catching it. But I ended up going with Musgraves, my bad. But again, towards the end of the game, it looked like there was a chance for it to hit, and they almost went into overtime. If they got into overtime, I thought it would definitely hit, but he needed 28.5 receiving yards to get 23. So super, super, super close. Should have went with Ben's original or should have just done both. Of course, I did not do that. And now we are
Uh,
here
I mean,
with
to be
a
fair,
7-55 record.
I did like Luke, and like we both talked a lot about Luke being, a guy that they probably would get involved with Tucker Craft being out. But you had sold me through your friend to kind of send some reasoning, I think, on like his podcast about like Barkley. So I was like, yeah, all right, let's go, let's do Barkley, and I was jazzed up for that one. But yeah, it's okay. We've all made our clear number of mistakes. So the trick to it now is just to avoid those going into week 11 in Thursday Night Football. So how about we go through and drop 4 picks each, and we just have perfection selection tier.
Yeah.
I
Let's
mean,
get into Thursday Night Football.
why don't we start with potentially an MVP candidate, as you keep mentioning it? I was kind of dismissing it a little bit, but I can't argue with stats and how well he's doing. Give me Drake May. Give me Drake May for over 1.5 passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's getting at least 2 per game, no question. So over 1.5, especially against like a Jets team that, despite their best efforts, won a game last week, but they should be continuing to try to tank to just get better draft pick status. Yeah, they're not playing for much. I think Drake May is going to have another big day. So yeah, over 1.5 seems like an easy number for that guy.
Yeah, he's the odds-on favorite right now for MVP. So I think if you're going
Crazy.
into this week with with that mindset of like, I'm the best player in football and I want to win MVP in his second year as a quarterback. By the way, taking him and Rabel taking this team from a crazy losing record last season, one of the an abysmal, like, this guy's going to get killed on the field kind of team, to where they are now, and the rest of their season is their schedule is super easy, like ridiculously easy. So they can easily like have a 12-win plus season. It starts here, right? It's the Jets, who are atrocious. They are bleeding players that from the trade deadline. There's no Garrett Wilson. Like, this is the way to do it. I like that. I think you have to ball out, unless, again, this is one of those shitty fucking Thursday games and it's all unders. We don't know, but I would think you would want to abuse this team right now.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, It's crazy to me too, like, 'cause for a moment there, I was like, "Oh, man, I hope the Patriots keep it rolling. I hope they can win in the playoffs." But then it reminded the fact that, like, the Patriots won for decades, like, and they just had, like, a little blip of negative seasons, so why would I want them to have any success? So I shouldn't be cheering for them, but, whatever. They seemed like an underdog for a minute there. Yeah, so Drake May, I know we like to sometimes get juice, and his line is only -200 to get the over 1.5 touchdowns, but maybe we'll make up some extra with some of the other picks that we throw in there.
For sure. I'm gonna go with my next pick, which is feel like it would be a full-on Ben pick right here. Give me Travion Henderson over 80.5 rushing yards. Did you see this guy run the ball last week?
Did
How many memes alright, like, let's, like, go behind the curtain here. How many memes on Twitter do I send you about Travion Henderson and the
a lot.
Patriots?
I mean, a lot, and I mean, it's not just you, obviously, it's coming from other people, it's all over the internet just because of how much he was not utilized, and it seemed like coaches just hate him and, like, did not
Mhm.
want him to be successful, and then, like, he's basically having to beg for permission to score a touchdown at the end of the last game, so, yeah, it's definitely a lot. They're hilarious, and he's I mean, he at least showed last week that he can be the guy. I will say, like, the majority of his rushing yards came from that, like, last ditch, kinda touchdown, so I don't know, maybe, maybe not, but it is obviously a game in which they should be up a lot, so I understand trying to go with, like, a running back that could kinda, just put it out to pasture late and just get a bunch of, yards. I will say, what line did you have him at? You said 80?
So he had 14 carries the last 2 games. Ramondre Stevenson is still hurt, and their backup, who they I think who was backing him up last game, is also hurt or is banged up. So, and I also saw a quote from Rabel about him like wanting to feed this guy, right? So the Jets are at the moment have the 19th ranked defense, so like little I guess worse than middle of the pack for total defense. Their rush defense is actually 25th out of 32 teams. So smashing that line is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. For some reason, on Bet365, they had taken his line off temporarily. I don't know if there was something that they were looking at with
Yeah,
the
I'm on
rushing
DraftKings
attack.
at the moment, just building the parlay. Well, and as always, we kind of find the best lines. I build this on DraftKings. It's easy to do on the desktop, but if we find better lines on FanDuel or Bet365 or whatever, we usually try to stick to like Bet365 and DraftKings. We do a little ESPN bet, which is going to be the score next year. But
Yeah.
yeah, regardless,
Yeah. Didn't take advantage of that 100% profit boost that they gave me, unfortunately.
I did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was the one that I lost and you hit. Okay. Another line. So since you did one that you think kind of mirrors what I would normally talk about as far as a running back actually getting the rushing yards, I'm going to take one out of your book and say Brees Hall over 15.5 receiving yards
Yeah.
solely because it's literally the only line on offense that I can stomach for any Jets player in this game. And he has had 42 yards receiving twice within the last like 5 games. Um, I don't know. I think with Garrett Wilson out at this point, and they're gonna need to be dumping the ball off as much as they possibly can to somebody in some space to try to get some yards. I don't know. Brees Hall seems like the only playmaker like left on that offense. Not that he's done a whole lot of it this year, but give me a dart throw that maybe he'll have some success against the Patriots defense, at least in the receiving attack.
Have they announced who is playing quarterback for the Jets?
I don't think they like to do that. They like to keep you guessing. Is it going to be like this shitty option or this shitty option? We don't know. I don't know if it matters too much for the Brees Hall line.
It
Obviously,
does
like
not.
if you're trying to play like rushing quarterback line, like Justin Fields, versus Tyrod Taylor, then that would be something you'd want to really focus on. But outside of it, I don't know that it really matters for this parlay.
Yeah, I'm just not seeing, a Fields rushing line. I was contemplating that just because,
Probably
like,
why, yeah.
if he has no one to throw it to outside of Brees, then I was considering it. He hasn't had any spectacular rushing performances as of late. He has a lot of carries though, right? So, like, I was considering maybe taking his, rushing attempts line. However, he is not currently available. I don't know if you see him on Bet365 or not, but he is not currently available on DraftKings in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, no, he's not. I do see Trayvon Henderson on ESPN, and this line is only 76.5, so a little bit better
Okay,
if we wanted to go that route.
we may.
I do have a rushing attempts pick that I like, but it's going back to the Drake Maywell. It's over 6.5 rushing attempts in the game. He's had at least 7 for the last 5 straight games. I primarily really feel good about this one because what happens when you blow out a team? You typically are doing some kneel downs there at the end. Assuming they haven't already replaced him with whoever their backup quarterback is, he should be the one doing the kneel downs if it's relatively respectable scoring. So I like that potential. But even if they don't have to get it off kneel downs, I think Drake May runs enough to where he could go through and cover at least 6.5 rushing attempts and has done so on the majority of the games this year.
Yeah, I mean, May uses his legs as a weapon, not necessarily for like giant carries. His longest so far this season, I think, is around 28, which is, I mean, to be fair, is a long carry. But
To be
I'm
fair,
just, to be fair, I'm looking at his the games that he played shitty teams, right? So when he played New Orleans, he still had 9 carries. When he played Tennessee, he still had 8 carries. So the only thing I was worried about with like playing the Jets would be like, oh, well, does he even need to run because they're so bad? But the other teams he had, he had
yeah.
success with and used his legs. The only time he really did it was in back-to-back weeks, Carolina and Buffalo. My God, I can't believe
Yep.
they won every fucking game since Carolina.
They're on a hell of a streak. I mean, also, it kind of reminds me, honestly, they remind me a little bit of the Commanders last year where their schedule was so favorable. They were
It's
playing like
so
bottom
easy.
teams. I mean, if you learn through that list
They've had
outside
one
of
challenge. They've had
outside
one
of
challenge the
Buffalo,
whole
like
season.
that's pretty much it. I don't know how they lost to the Raiders week 1. That's absurd. But
That was the only Bowers game. That was like
week
one of
1's so
2
hard.
Bauer games.
Yeah, true. True. But so yeah, Drake May, I don't know. It's doubling down on 2 of the stats for me, but I like his passing touchdowns and his rushing attempts. I didn't want to necessarily go yards because I don't know, but I think the rushing attempts seem safe.
Yeah. Honestly, I would play this parlay as is right now without messing with it and then do some other fun stuff. But yeah, I like
What
that
other
a
fun
lot.
stuff do you have?
What other fun I mean, we haven't mentioned the guy with a million children, Mr. Stefan Diggs. My God, he's supposed to be having a baby with what, Cardi B and then like another model at the same time right now. God bless him.
I'll let you keep up with that for me. I don't.
No, I saw it I just saw it on
Yeah,
social, but yeah, so I guess let's stick with his receiving yards, 56.5. Normally, who would we be targeting right now?
we'd be targeting hops.
Yeah, that was my dog.
As Al's fun dog just jumps off the bed to go attack something.
That's
Oh,
right.
we would be going after Kayshawn Booty.
It's not playing.
Keishawn Booty, unfortunately, yeah, not available. So now that's kind of the thing is where do you we like Drake May, so who is he going to be throwing to? So in your case, you're potentially pivoting to obviously the wide receiver 1 there, which is Diggs.
Mhm.
So yeah, that makes sense for me. My only other play is another receiver. I like Matt Collins over 39.5 receiving yards. So it's kind of
Gee,
just
crazy how he's become the absentee wide receiver too, right? Yeah, my only worry about Diggs is, he hasn't really hit the last couple weeks. So I was looking also at Demario Douglas. I know he didn't hit last week, but he got close. Um, I mean, who's even going to be on Diggs? There's no more Sauce Gardner, right? So I feel like this is an opportunity for him to thrive. The Patriots are not like they have a lot of threats at wide receiver. It's just like they have guys that will catch the ball. Hunter
yeah,
Henry, Matt Collins that you mentioned. Even Travion Henderson can catch the ball if need be, if they're going to feed him, like Rabel said.
which yeah, I mean hopefully that they do. I mean even I will say like for the Jets, like even Jerry Judy last week for the Browns had finally hit a decent game and he'd been struggling all season. So he had 78 yards as the wide receiver 1 for the Browns. So that maybe bodes well for Diggs, who's really only shown up like in a big way against his former team, the Bills, earlier in the season.
Well,
So
should
maybe
we?
they can.
I was going to say, should we pivot to like a Diggs touchdown versus his yardage? He's got a touchdown in the last 3 games.
I mean, that's potential. That would maybe. Let's look at what we like so far. Do you have any other lines you haven't thrown out yet?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
Are you getting how many rushing attempts are you getting on Bet365?
I was getting 6.5 for Drake May.
Damn, it looks like it went up because at some point it was 5.5, which I really like. But 6.5 is still fine. It's just like that's the thing that you'd have to bank on him. Like it can't be like 40-0 at halftime because if they put in the backup, we're not seeing that line hit.
True. I mean, in their defense, the Jets are coming off of a win, like against Cleveland. I don't know that they'll get blown out. Maybe not. Like it's a divisional game.
They don't
And the
even know what
Patriots, like,
quarterback's playing.
yeah, I mean, true. But I mean, even though like the Patriots, they're winning their games. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're like winning in huge blowout fashion, like, against even some of the lesser teams. They've had really close games. I mean, they barely beat the Falcons, obviously, albeit the Falcons sometimes are good. They just had a tight one against the Bucks. They did blow out the Browns and the Titans. The Saints hung around, so they've had a lot of close games. I don't necessarily see that I see it's gonna be such a wide margin that Drake May is not playing, like, in the 4th quarter or, kneeling it out at the end, so I'm not gonna factor that into whether I think it's gonna hit.
That's fair. I have no more picks if you have anything you wanna talk about.
No, 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 we kinda threw him out there, so, I mean, I think most confidently, I like Drake May to throw 2 touchdowns. I know that doesn't get a lot of juice for us, but that's kinda the one that I would initially lean into. If I had a second one, I mean, I'm kind of a toss-up on my side between, like, the Breece Hall receiving yards because what else are the Jets gonna do? Or the Drake May rushing attempts?
Yeah, I like both. I like both. I mean, I really let's stick with the one that I love the most, which is the Breece Hall receiving yards from the Jets side, because I have no other Jets stats at
Yeah,
all, no other
yeah, I
Jets
mean,
picks.
we got 1 pick from the Jets, so I guess we're gonna throw him in there. Uh, Trayvon Henderson, yeah, I mean, I want to say, like, that he'll do well here.
Well, I mean, is he gonna get the carries, right? Like, you're banking on
He's
2
probably
receiving touchdowns. If they're gonna just, beat the shit out of this team that we think they're gonna do.
he'll get somewhere between, like, 10 to 15 carries, I think. So is that enough to hit, like, his line, which might be a little inflated because of what he did last week, and a lot of that came off that, large touchdown run sort of at the end. So I'm somewhat hesitant, even though I like the idea of playing the running back for the better team.
I mean, again, Stevenson is out and their backup is questionable. Like their I guess their RB3 is questionable. I
Yeah,
I don't know how you can go from 147. Did he have 2 touchdowns too?
I think so. They are susceptible to, like, big rushing plays. They kinda tend to give up some of those, but the
That's why they're
run defense, I
25th
think.
ranked defense in the
Yeah, but
rush.
their run defense specifically, like, as I'm kinda scrolling through some of the backs, like, other guys have had trouble getting anything going, like, against them. So, like, the Browns, like, Quinshon Jenkins took, like, 20 plus carries to get 70 yards.
Shot chicken.
Yeah. The Bengals didn't really have success. Panthers, like, I don't know.
I mean, we haven't looked into any of these props before. We can consider like, either a first quarter or first half line versus his full line. Like if we think it's going to be an early attack and then, nothing later.
Um,
You can also take his longest rush at 15.5.
that I like, if we can do that, because looking through it, almost every team has broken off, like, a 20 plus yard run, and then that's kinda, like, the majority of what gets given up. So I do like the idea of him breaking one against the Jets, maybe more so than, like,
It will
long
it will
sustainable.
not let me parlay that.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that,
unfortunately.
yeah, those are usually standalone bets. It will let you do the rush attempts, so the Drake May thing we could, potentially throw in there. What is Trayvon Henderson's rushing attempts set at?
16.5. Right what you said.
That's, yeah, too much.
I don't
Too
like it.
much.
Too
Don't
much.
like it. Don't like it.
Don't like it. I mean, we can also pivot and just do a Henderson touchdown if you prefer that.
Do you like the Diggs touchdown or the Henderson touchdown more?
Both. I think they're both gonna score. I mean, I'm never right with that though, but
Maybe you should flip a
Henderson
coin
had
on.
so Henderson had what, 2 he had 2 rushing touchdowns. So that doesn't help our Drake May 1.5 receiving touchdowns. Unless we think it's gonna be a high scoring game and he's gonna put up a bunch of they're gonna put up a bunch of points together.
Well, the 2 Travion Henderson touchdowns were 2 of 3 that he has on the entire season, and again, one
Fair.
of them was that long break at the end.
Correct,
Obviously,
but
he
remember,
wasn't
Mike
the
Vrabel
RB1. Yeah, yeah, he
Vrabel
hated
hated
him.
this guy.
He was forced to play him basically, like, the last 3 weeks, and he's had some success, although, yeah. Yeah, maybe we couple. So, like, if Drake May's gonna throw for 2 touchdowns, then maybe we go with the Diggs touchdown. Although I hate doing I yeah, that do we like doing touchdown lines? I don't know. I don't know.
He's got a touchdown in the last 3 games. He is clear
He
wide
does.
receiver 1.
He is, and there's
Do
no booty.
do you prefer his yards, which
Maybe
he
we
has
just take
not
his
hit, and
yards.
you like his yards?
Maybe we take his yards. I mean, we either do that or we would alternate to one of the other Pats receivers, like
Well,
a la Matt
again,
Collins or
Jets against the pass defense is actually higher than the run. So they're actually a top
but
8
that's when they
pass
did have
defense.
Sauce.
Oh, yeah, fair.
So they did lose their corner one.
And the Jets have allowed, 17 passing touchdowns, which is, like, not the worst, but not the best.
There's a lot. There's a lot. Um,
Bengals allowed 23. Unbelievable.
does get a lot of red zone targets. Yeah, I mean, a touchdown in 3 straight games is kind of absurd for Diggs. I mean, there were his only touchdowns on the season. Again, it's like one of those weird things where he's got 3 and they were 1 each of the last 3 weeks, nothing prior to that. Playing a lot of, recency bias, I think, here with some of these that we're looking at. But maybe, yeah, maybe we bank on Diggs to have a big game because he's the guy right now and has to be kind of the guy for them. We had so last week Booty was out, right? So Diggs had 5 catches for 46 yards in that one. Matt Collins was the leading receiver with 6 for 106. So to be like Matt Collins at just needing 40 yards coming off of a 106-yard performance.
Hear me out. Here's one that I'm looking at.
I'm
Okay.
listening.
Alright. So, we like Breece Hall even though we don't know who's quarterback, right?
Yeah.
I don't know the what's it called? Well, look, okay. So, Justin Fields' pass catchers are gonna be Adonai Mitchell, Arian Smith, Tyler Johnson, and Mason Taylor. So
Yeah. I
so
looked at
Breece Hall is
those.
his best receiving option.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Breece Hall is,
Alright.
like, I think, a lock for us, and I think the Drake May rushing attempts and passing touchdowns maybe should be but then I think we need that 4th pick, so it's either do we trust Diggs? Do we trust Matt Collins? Do we trust Travion Henderson rushing? I don't know which one of those is most favorable.
Yeah. What's before I make my decision, give me the Hollins case.
Well, the Hollins case is, I mean, everything that we're kind of looking at right now is more of a recency bias. But Hollins had 106 yards last week with 6 receptions. One of them was for 50 plus yards. It was a bomb. But he's also had games of 89 yards, 49 yards. So in 3 of the last 5, he's gone over that line. And that's when Booty was playing too. So take him out of the equation. Is he like the clear wide receiver 2 in this offense type thing? At least from the reset aspect of it,
Alright, you've
maybe so.
convinced me. You've convinced me. Alright, and here's how we'll pivot, and we'll do a little fun thing. Alright, so
Okay, fun
we
thing.
we'll go Matt Collins over 37.5 receiving yards. We will go Drake May over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Drake May over 6.5 rushing attempts, unless we can find a better line somewhere, and Breece Hall over 16.5 receiving yards.
What I just realized that those are my 4 lines. So,
Those are
is this the, hey, I will say we were joking, but I've hit, like, 6 straight bets because I'm doing, like, little $2, $3 bets trying to work up to $100 from the last 10 that I had in my account. I'm at 95. Maybe my luck is with us right now, I don't know.
is there a case to be made for
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is. He's the
do you like
RB1 on a
Henderson better than any of those 4?
It's up to me, honestly. Obviously, I don't specifically because I looked at it and I didn't put him in my 4 picks, but I would understand putting him in there over one of those if you had a preference.
My worry is it's the rushing attempts for me. It's just
Okay.
but I'm not against it. That's the problem. It's not like I'm like, "Oh, I hate that number." Five
I
and a
would
half, I liked a
say
lot more. He's hit that number in, like, almost every game, which is great.
I mean, you could alt
Well, he
it
hit it this game.
down if you wanted to. I mean, to play it safe. I would say if you want to, then we put Henderson in place of one of those, whether it's the rushing attempts or the passing touchdowns lines. So we're not playing May twice.
Okay, and you prefer the passing touchdowns.
I don't know what I prefer. But yeah, I mean, that's probably the safer bet. Is there more juice in one versus the other? If it's a toss-up, let's go with the one that gets us a little bit more money
I
potentially.
mean, not really.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, actually, there's more juice with the rushing attempts. However, I agree with everything you're saying about the passing touchdowns.
Okay. Well, let's stick
Yeah,
safe. We haven't won shit in a while, so maybe we take the passing touchdowns, replace the rushing attempts with Travion Henderson, over yards. And if I mean, I'm saying too, we don't do it that much. Well, we never do it here, really, but we could always alt to a number that we like slightly better. If you
yeah.
don't love what his, if we're not getting a whole bunch of extra juice going with just his what is he? I don't even know what he's set at because I'm on 365 right now. They don't have him in there for some reason.
79.5 currently on DraftKings. With Hall, Hollins, May, and Henderson, this is plus 900, 20 to win 180. Or sorry, 20 to win 200. I can't add. And then, yeah, I mean, what I was going to say was, why don't we do like the FanDuel, what is it, the first touchdown, last touchdown thing for the anytime? And we could do Diggs for that since we're kind of both on the Diggs train. But yeah, I mean, we don't sound too confident about it, but that's our Thursday night
We never
football
do.
bet.
We never do. But I do think these are good numbers and they make sense. The smartest thing we're doing is probably avoiding the Jets almost entirely, with the
Yeah.
exception of Brees Hall.
I'm actually upset that we have a Jet in here.
Yeah,
I might do this bet again minus Hall and put it like
fair.
$5 on it. All right, but
We'll
that's our Thursday night football bet. So we have Brees Hall over 16.5 receiving yards, Mac Hollins over 37.5 receiving yards, Drake May over 1.5 passing touchdowns, and Travion Henderson over 79.5 rushing yards as long as Rabel likes him this week. Plus 900 on DraftKings. Find better lines if you can find them. Find a boost, find a no sweat. There's got to be something out there. I know BetMGM usually does a no sweat for, I think, Thursday or Monday, so check on that. But yeah, if you don't already, follow us on social at Don't Tail This on Twitter and Instagram. You'll see the slip. Whatever we end up with today will be up on our social platforms. You can check that out, and you can email us, don'ttailthis@gmail.com. And if you prefer to listen this on YouTube, we're now available on YouTube. So check that out if you haven't already. That is a new platform that we are available on. The audio version, we're still figuring out video. We'll get there eventually. But other than that, thank you so much for listening. And remember,
Don't tail this.
Don't Tail This is produced by Al Manarino and Ben Berkeson. Edited by Al Manarino. Theme song by Lucas Jones. Follow Don't Tail This on Instagram and Twitter at Don't Tail This. We are committed to responsible gaming. Please visit www.rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available. Never bet more than you can afford to lose. And always bet responsibly, which of course means don't tail this.